That was so anticlimactic, right? Like we're getting ready for this hype trap song, and then kind of just cuts. I don't really know if I need a YouTube opening right now, but this is gonna be my first YouTube video, and I'm really excited to start this out. I was encouraged by a lot of the people on Instagram and TikTok saying that like, oh my gosh, like I really like your tutorials, and I just want something a little bit longer. So I'm here to give you that, and I really hope you enjoy. So right now we're just going to be doing a lollipop. That's just going to be two cylinders. See, I've already went too fast. I've already kind of made the lollipop. You definitely don't want to go too fast with these. I guess I'm kind of just telling it to myself. It's definitely a new thing talking to myself, so it'd probably be kind of weird hearing this audio back, but I just put in a lighting setup. I'm using Pro Lighting Studio by Blender Guru. It costs like $60, but you can like really quickly have a bunch of different lighting conditions, which I've been really appreciating because it means that I can model faster and do things pretty quick without having to like really worry about what type of lighting I'm going to do for each scene. It's really good for TikToks. So next I'm going to give this transmission material so you can see inside of it, kind of like what I did in the TikTok. So hopefully we've gotten this far. Just a glass shader on the top, lollipop made out of cylinder, and now we're gonna actually get to the particle side of this. We're first going to add a UV sphere and shrink it really, really far down. We're gonna make this invisible, so it doesn't really matter what you put inside of it. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to the particle settings, add a particle settings of an emitter. And if we go back into material view, or this is solid view technically, you can see that it's working as intended. Just we need things to bounce inside of here. You're going to do that by going into these properties and then doing a collision modifier. That might work. Yeah, it does work. Right now, the issue is that our normals are not flipped. If you go to face orientation, the normals inside here are red. And since the particles are going to be interacting with the inside, we're actually going to put tab, have everything selected, and then go control N, no, shift N. Yeah, and since it didn't do anything because it already thinks it's like correct, click on inside, and then you can flip the normals here. It's really important for doing anything particle related or physics related. And so now when they're inside, that bounce is a little bit more realistic. You might not be able to tell right now because they're just kind of going everywhere, but trust me on this. Okay, next we're going to click on this particle in the middle. It's selected, okay. And then we're going to go to the particle settings and then go to field weights. The gravity right now is pushing these down. However, if we turn it all the way up, now it's kind of bouncing all along the area. They're really big still, so we're going to make a particle, a UV sphere, another one. You can use like a lot of people, if they're doing a bunch of particles, you actually want to be using a cone and turning the vertices all the way down because this is the um 3D shape with the least polygons. So you have like one, two, three, four vertices, and you can also do that if you have a really, really bad computer. I'm just gonna go with this one because we don't have like an insane amount of particles going on. So next you're going to go to render, and then instead of rendering as a halo, which are these dots placeholders, you're going to do an object. And you're going to set the instance object to one of the particles you did here. And you can kind of see them, but they're a little bit small. So I'm gonna make them a little bigger. So you're basically like a lot of the way there. You can do a lot with the settings if it's not to your like intended effect. Like you can go to the physics properties and add like Boolean drag. Um, I would just mess around with these. To be honest, I don't exactly know what they all do. So I kind of just ramble here. It doesn't make very much sense. I'm trying to describe what Bowie and Drag and Damp are. Um, so I'm just gonna fast forward through this part. I'm not even gonna guess. You should probably do your own research on these and not take my advice on it. I'm just gonna leave these alone. I like to mess with these if I'm doing fireworks. So like you can dampen the outside of the particles so they only go a certain amount. But considering that they're like kind of stuck in this lollipop, it's not gonna matter too much. But what you can notice is some of the particles are actually coming out of the bounding lollipop, and the reason that's happening is because these particles are actually kind of big, and so to reduce the likelihood of that, you can first scale, apply the scale. So the scale here is 111, and then extrude along faces, and just give that a little bit of thickness, and that'll help so they don't look like they're actually coming out of the lollipop, but you still have an object that's like kind of hollow insides. I'm going to now add a bevel modifier because I think it just looks a little bit better, and go to the very edges, maybe right here. Yeah, you get that like nice ring on it, and now you have a lollipop with something inside of it. What I did in my original tutorial is I added a material, and this material was a transmission material that had just a bunch of random colors in it. So first I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go into the material view over here, and in the material view I'm going to get an object info, and I'm also going to get a color ramp. What I just did there is I click Q and I have quick favorites. So if there's something that you always use, you can go to input, and then if I always use bevel, you can right click on that and then add to quick favorites. It's a really good way to get all the things that you kind of use all the time but don't really want to like search like color ramp. See, I didn't even spell it right that time. We're going to connect that to the emission. So there's going to be, oh, that shouldn't be color, that should be random. And if you can see now, some of these particles are darker than the others. That's just because if you're taking a random color with your color ramp and putting it into the emission or the color shader, it'll do a gradient of the colors that are in this color ramp. So you can see that there's some like lighter ones and there's some blue ones. Those are not very good colors to use, but if I turn the blue up, you could kind of see them coming in here. So in my other video, I did a red, and I did like a kind of like darker things like that. So I'll do that. Maybe turn them to 3. I'm gonna bring back my lollipop, and if you want a little bit more of a gradient, you can see that this is like you're seeing some different colors, but it's kind of hard to tell in here. You can actually turn this to HSL, and HSL will take every color in between from a from the colors that are on the, see, like, okay, something that I'm gonna have to preface about a lot of my videos is, while I know a lot of techniques, like I don't necessarily know the definitions to the techniques. So like I'm just gonna show you what some things do, and I'll show you how I use them, but I'm not gonna be able to describe what like HSL actually does. Like it says right here, set color mode to use for interpolation. So that's just like the interpolation mode. So in RGB, you kind of get this gradient because it's going along the RGB values. But if you use the HSL, it's doing everything in between this orange and this blue. And so you can kind of make really nice gradients with that if you don't want just these two colors in there. Because if you do RGB, it's this color as a gradient, and then HSL, it's all the colors in between. So I'm just going to do a little bit of setting up my scene. I'm going to make a backdrop here, and I always like beveling this edge so you can't actually tell if it's like ending. It's like a really good strategy for like kind of getting that look that like you're in a studio. Now if I go Control-Alt-0, I can bring the camera that I had to the front and center. The rotation is good, and it actually is in the center. That's really lucky that I was literally right in the center, because even if you're just like a little bit off, what the heck? Oh, I have to select my camera. Okay, I didn't get it in the middle the first time. I was like, wow. I'm like, that's really impressive. Yeah, that makes more sense. This is 90 degrees on the X. I'm gonna center it here. Make sure these are all even rotations. This is a little bit off on the Y-axis. And for TikTok, I also set this to 1080 by 920. That's to help fit the phone. I'm going to drag down a little bit. And now I'm going to select these two things, and then go back and then set the subject so I can get those lighting conditions that I really like. You can see that it's pretty black right here, and one of the reasons is because it's reflecting the infinite void that we have. And so what you can do to change that is you can copy your background and then just flip it like that. So a lot of your colors are not only being from the void, but also the bounce that you're getting on your side. So if we engulf this, you get a little bit of a different look. Next, I'm going to change the IOR value. This is basically the refraction value of whatever translucent materials you have. So the ones I've memorized are like 1.33. That's going to be for glass. I'm pretty sure the IOR values you can find online. If you go IRR values and just look that up, you can see that water is 1.33, glass is 1.5. So if one is to be like a glass lollipop, I think in the video I kind of cheated a little bit because sometimes if you just want a certain effect, just go for the certain effect. Like no one's gonna stop you. No one's gonna be like, that's not actually the reflective value of a lollipop. Like nobody says that because nobody cares really. Um, well, some people care. I don't want to say nobody cares, but I mean that's kind of the video. I hope this was informative to you. Thank you so much for the people who have been supporting me on TikTok and Instagram. And thank you, Uwu King, for wanting this video and getting me to post my first YouTube video. So you're the real MVP. I don't really have a way to exit this video, so I'll just say